Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. We're going to do Instagram questions in this episode. Dusty Hanshaw, Scott McNally, and of course myself, Big Ron Partlow. Like, share, subscribe, comment.
And ring the bell.
And ring the bell. There we go.
I thought you were wearing
So we're back.
We're
back. I changed my shirt.
I saw that.
And my hat.
It feels very new.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
wear the
sort
same
of...
5 shirts all the time, so it's fun.
Yeah, you change your shirt too. You're like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. The new
same
blue
shirt every day
shirt.
anyways. Doesn't fucking matter. Right?
Less of a douche with less money, but yeah, same shit.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Did you see the influencers in the wild post that Mark Zuckerberg was in? Did you see that one? It was really good. Mm-hmm. I guess the guy who runs the account for influencers in the wild, I don't know if you guys follow that one. It's funny. It shows it's like videos that people send in that they catch of people who are influencers, like shooting themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so there'd be like a girl rolling around in the water and you could tell her like boyfriend is like trying to get the perfect shot of her and someone will film it and it just looks so funny, right?
Oh yeah.
But I guess Zuckerberg sent a photo of himself into the account.
No kidding.
And the account was like, Zuck has a good sense of humor. And they sent Zuckerberg was standing in the swimming pool taking a selfie of himself, and behind him was like I can't remember what animals. It was like 2 deer or something. Like,
right.
Because it's like, you know, they're coming out of the forest behind him. There's like some wildlife behind him and he's in the pool taking a selfie and someone took a photo of that.
Right.
And Zuck sent that in. He's like, here's the ultimate influencer in the wild.
That's great.
The ultimate influencer, right?
Well, that's amazing. I hate him and that's still amazing.
I wonder what he's really like. I wonder if he just like, you know, got stuck on a 3-hour drive with him.
Oh God. Who would be the worst person to be stuck on a drive with you could think of? I mean, I'm thinking anyone from The View would be perfectly fine.
Well, yeah, but I think with those are just old ladies, though. You just don't talk politics with them. Just don't talk politics with old ladies. Who the fuck does that? I'm sure they're, you know what I mean?
Valid.
Get them to tell you interesting stories about the 60s or something.
There you go.
You know? Well, I was at Woodstock. There you go. Talk about that for an hour. I'll be entertained. You know? You know? I mean?
Yes.
That's the thing about tolerating other people. You just have to know, like, what not to talk about.
That's a good point.
It's part of like, if you just have to get along with people, just know what not to talk about. Like, you know, I could spend 2 hours in a car with anybody if you avoid the right subjects, you know?
How do I keep their opinion completely away from me? Let's think.
Yeah. I'm sure you can find something you have in common. I'm sure someone likes, I'm sure I could find someone that I would think was my mortal enemy if I knew their politics. But if we talked about movies, they might like the same movies as me.
I feel like we could make this, this could be like a segment for Ron where we call it like be a little more Canadian. Today we're going to talk about, you know, going for a 2-hour car ride with anybody.
With anybody.
This is how you do it. This is how you do it.
Hey.
The worst person, someone who thinks that they, like, who's driving? You're driving?
You're driving.
Is it your car?
Sure, yes.
And
you're driving them.
It's not, okay. So it's not like you're splitting a rental car and you're going to take turns driving.
Yeah.
You're driving them. Huh. They have to understand that they have zero say in the music or the volume. I own the car. I'm fucking driving. I get to do whatever I want with my music. I can crank it to 12 and play AC/DC the whole 2 hours. There's nothing you can do about it.
Valid.
Don't touch my stereo.
Yeah.
Okay. People have to know that.
That should be an unwritten rule anyways. You know, that's something that I deal with here. So I don't like blare my music. It's not 1997. I don't have like 12s behind the seat or anything. But I'm listening to my music at a tone that I like. I can hear, right?
If I have to say something to you, I might have to talk like this.
Yeah. So, but anytime we'll pull up somewhere like to a gas station or the school, girls will turn it down before we pull in. I'm like, I don't care if they know what I'm listening to, no matter what it is. Under no circumstance is there any sort of a weirdness to it. Yeah, there's certain rules, man.
Like we're driving to the movie.
Yeah.
We're driving to the movie the other night, and I'm cranking, and some tunes cranking. Yeah. And then Emily reaches up and she turns the volume down and starts telling me a story about her day.
Wait a minute, we're listening to this, right?
And I was just like, whoa.
What is happening to you?
Hold up here. Are we talking about our days right now, or are we listening to music? Because I was under the impression we were listening to music, and you seem to think we're going to talk about our days while we're driving. Okay, I mean, we could have a discussion about this, but you can't just reach ahead and just see someone's fingers touch the knob and then they turn down. I just think, who does this person think they are?
What do you think? You live with me or something? This is ridiculous.
I mean, something to say?
Well, listen, if you're going to listen, this is my thought though. If you have something to say and you say it to me while the music is up, I determine if
it's important enough.
If she turns to me and goes, should we do this check that we just saw? And I'm like, whoa, what? Turn it. Yes, we should. I'll flip a bitch. We go back. We take our shot. See what happens. But like just a random, funny. Like, what else do we need from the grocery store? Not now. Not now.
Yeah. You're driving it. And it's another thing too. I don't know if this is a woman thing, but
here goes our viewers.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a woman thing. I don't know what it is. It's magical. So I can have some music on and we're driving. Okay, maybe we got to drive. And I know that, say there's a playlist and there's 2 songs, and then I know that the third song is a really good smoker, right? It's that third one's going to be awesome when it comes on. I know what's coming. She says nothing for 2 songs. Mm-hmm. And then like the opening riff of that third song that I've been waiting for and anticipating, that third song starts, opening riff starts, the drums kick in just as the first verse comes in, and you're just ready to just fuck. It's like, so my grandma decided that, I'm like, you had 2 whole songs. There was like 8
you had 2 mediocre songs
of these 2 songs that I thought were okay, but they're pretty good, so I just let them play. You could have told me all this. And then as this and it organically started too. You know how a song's always better when it comes on by itself?
Yes.
As opposed to when you play it. She's like, well, you can just listen to it anytime. And I'm like, that's not the same. It was about to happen. It was about to
It was a moment.
It was about to organically play, and remind me of like those old days when something would come on the radio.
Yeah.
You'd have to go like, oh, can't rewind. Like, shh, everybody in the car, shut up.
Yep. It's time. I feel that.
There's something about those days. There's something about the sanctity of a song coming on by itself, like on a playlist or Sirius satellite radio. I'm like, oh, this song is on. Like there's a handful of songs I can't turn the car off. I have to let them finish.
Oh yeah.
What would be one of those?
Even though they're on my phone.
Of course not. That's a totally different thing. I feel that.
So, what would be one of those songs, Ron? Like a song you couldn't turn off.
So I've said this before. 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins is one of the songs.
Yes, you have said that.
I always have to let that song finish. I don't know, something about that song. Can't not let it finish. There's a handful of them. That's a good one though.
You made a really good point, Ron, because you know what? At this point in life, like when I'm heading to the gym, I know how far the gym is. I cue my Spotify songs to get me there. Like I don't leave the driveway until all my music to get me to the gym, and that couple of minutes where I sit in the gym parking lot.
You need what? How many do you need? You need 6 songs in a row. How long's your drive? Like how many?
No, it's a short drive, so 4 is good. But I spend 5 minutes in the parking lot
deciding. Yeah. So that whole 4th song.
Song 4 is I'm priming for the 4th song.
Yeah.
The 4th song is the most important song. Yeah.
You're parked by song 4, and it's just yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah,
and that's when she would turn it down. That's when the fingers would come out, the fucking raptor claws come out and fucking see. I'm reaching for the camera so they can see like what it looks like.
Yeah. If the camera were the knob, this is what
like from the knob's point of view, it's like.
I feel that. I do. Wow. Yeah. Did you still sit with her at the movie, or did you sit by yourself?
Oh no, everything was good. Everything was good after that. Hey, like I said, you know, part of getting through life is learning to cope with those moments without losing your mind. I just quietly remind her, Dave, you turned my song down.
1979. You know better.
You turned my song down. I use the same voice. Yeah, the same voice. Just, you turn my song down. And then she just talks over me.
Yeah. That's absolutely key, though, to seriousness, is if the tone never changes.
No. I have to stay calm.
Oh, that's good shit. Sorry. I don't even know where we are anymore. I've completely lost track of what we're doing.
Well, we were supposed to do Instagram questions, which I had a lot of.
Oh, boy.
So is that what we're doing?
Let's do it.
Yeah. I just got a text that drives me crazy. Anyways, would you ever send to Chris Tito that you need words of encouragement because you're super hungry and that's all you're thinking about? That one hurts me a little bit.
I wouldn't write those words.
No.
Ever. No.
Yeah, so the guy that wrote those that's probably listening to this, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't send those words. Just suck it the fuck up.
Well, you don't want to type. There's certain things you don't want to, like, yeah, they might occur in your brain, but when you write them down, it makes them more real. You don't want that. You want to deny. Stuff the feelings down.
Plausible deniability.
Push the feelings down. Deny. Plausible deniability. Yes. Okay. So sorry. I have a couple of
questions.
Well, there's actually two that are about food, about some tips. What are some key basic tips to make your food more enjoyable?
Cook it properly.
That sounds
dumb, but I mean, like, I think most people that suck at cooking, they think their food is terrible because it's dry or something. That's why I think slow cookers or pressure cookers are magical. Because they keep things, everyone's favorite word, moist.
See, I love barbecued chicken. Like, barbecued chicken is the best.
If you cook it correctly.
But people butcher the fuck. They dry the shit out of their chicken, and then they can't reheat it, and then it's brutal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You got to just don't overcook your shit. Like, everyone blasts the fuck out of their barbecue.
We tend as well, I think, because in bodybuilding, we're making things in bigger quantities. We tend to just go on autopilot with it and do the same thing over and over and over. And I try to give people a few options for meats. I'll be like, well, you can use turkey, 99% ground turkey. You can use turkey breast. You can use chicken breast, or you can use light fish for this meal. And then 10 weeks down the road, the same guy says, is there anything else I can eat except for chicken? Because I'm so tired of chicken. I'm like, it was on the list. It's still right on the list. But we don't think – I mean, the reality is we don't think about it. We just do the same thing over and over again.
Just go on autopilot.
You get burnt out. So I think different seasonings, that can help.
Oh, yeah.
And like you were saying, Dusty, we just talked about this on Blood, Sweat, and Gear too, because somebody said, hey, what do you guys think? Dusty likes using the Instapot. What do you guys think about that? And of course, Skip, he's real old school. So he's like, I just put all my chicken on a pan and I cook it. I don't care what it tastes like. But you know what? You can have a little flavor in your life,
Yeah.
I actually say the opposite, though. I tell clients that. It needs to, I feel like, to help you not cheat, make your food taste good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that you should do things that are off the plan, but if you find ways that you can enjoy your food, you don't feel like you're dieting. I will finish, I say it like it's current. A million years ago, when I still competed, I would finish a prep and like I'd have employees be like, oh, you're still doing another show? And I'm like, no, why? Like, well, you're eating the more food. Or you're eating the same food. I'm like, yeah, but there's more of it. Like, I don't change the chicken. Like, the barbecue chicken is still barbecue chicken. It's just now it's got 400 grams of rice with it instead of 200. Because I actually like it. I think that it really does help, because when I first started bodybuilding, I thought that hardcore was the thing. Just cook it in the pan, make it taste like shit, and somehow it's going to make you look better. No, it just makes you hate life 6 times a day. Fuck.
Yeah.
What's here? I got a question here. What's your favorite kitchen tool that you use? Like your favorite thing in your kitchen that if you had to go to someone else's kitchen, you would take it. Like other people don't have. You know what I mean? There's something that you specifically love in your kitchen. You know, like, you know, when you go to like, you go to like you get like an Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
And they have everything, but they don't have that thing that you have in your kitchen, and you fucking need to bring it.
Yes. Oh God.
Like, what is
that? I have quite a few of those. That's a problem.
The one guy says example, your favorite scissors for cutting meat. You know, could be something like that.
I do. Okay. I will say that, I mean, I didn't think of this that simply, but I have some really good steak knives, which I'm not partial to my steak knives, but I've always bought cheap ass steak knives from like Walmart. I just never thought it mattered. And actually a client of mine bought me a set for a gift after a show, just 6 steak knives. And the first time I was like, what the fuck is this? And now I buy expensive ass knives. Like, they are worth, and I'm a shitty cook, which is, I don't even use the word chef, cook, and they're still worth it. Good knives are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I got a really good knife set for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh yeah, cool. We got one of those cool knife sets. It'll sit on the counter, you know, with all the little knives. Got a bunch of little, you know, steak knives, and then it's got a whole bunch of other knives. I started using those things. Jesus, I just grabbed a piece of the fat and hold the steak up, and I just touch the blade to the fat, and the weight of the steak just like shears it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I just drag the blade along the strip and just shears the steak. The weight of the steak just shears itself off the fat. The knife is so sharp. It's fucking so easy to use. Yeah,
that's
definitely
key.
good.
I mean, it's not something that I don't think people have, but I am also I use tongs a bunch to like flip things, you know?
Yep.
And I find that's tongs. You have to have, but they have to have, here's the tricky thing. They're usually either plastic or metal, and I use them over extremely hot things. So I need the part that my hand is on to be temperature controlled. So another little issue there, because
there are some things, right?
There are a lot of things.
One of my big things is that if I go to like say an Airbnb or you get like a hotel room that has a full kitchen, or you know, I would go stay at my mom and dad's house for the weekend. Mm-hmm. I would always think my frying pan is way fucking better than these frying pans, because I always had like the big, like the 14-inch high edge.
Oh yeah,
pretty new. Like I buy a new one every 6 months, so it's like super non-stick. Your egg whites just fall out.
Yeah,
like you just that sort of thing. A pan like that, I'm very snobby about my frying pans.
That's a valid point. I have a pan that I only use for eggs because it is so slippery. And I swear to God, it's not good for other things.
Huh.
I'm like, this sucks for this other shit. So I'm like because I like to make fake fried rice with like just soy sauce and put a little eggs there, like, cook it to where it's crispy. Huh. That pan sucks for that. It's no good.
Fake fried rice.
Yeah, because I don't like all the good shit. Yeah, it's delicious. Told you I like my food to taste good.
There's one thing I'll throw in, and that is glass storage containers.
Oh yeah,
I don't like plastic storage containers. They weigh a lot, but they're worth it. The quality, the taste of the food, even the next day. If you put that in plastic, it's gonna change.
Ron does the same. I've seen him at Mutant when he used to work there. He always had glass containers.
Yeah. I always use glass containers. I'm big on that.
Fun fact.
That was actually something that my mom was doing that like back in the 90s. She was all about the glass containers. My mom was a pioneer, ahead of her time.
And my mom was more plastics. Like, don't waste food. Eat all that shit right now. You're going to waste it if you put it in the fridge. All right. What else we got?
Okay. Hey, here's one we've all dealt with, especially me. tips for leg day nausea. I'm eating 90 minutes out. I'm only using half the pre-workout that I use for other body parts, and I'm just drinking water while I train. What is wrong with me? I keep getting sick after I do quads.
Sounds like he's having good workouts to me.
That's true.
You know, I mean, I've thrown up 1,000 times on leg day, but then you get guys like Ian Valere. Ian Valere says if you're throwing up, there's something wrong. Like you're doing something wrong. Like there's no reason to be puking. So
I never threw up once I got in shape. Like once I stopped, like earlier in my career, like long before it was even remotely going to be called a career, I puked all the time, but I ate worse and I never did cardio. Once I got into cardiovascular shape, it was never an issue again. But I will say I don't consume a lot of liquid while I'm training either. I drink before I go in, and when I'm there, like if I brought a liter in, I'm bringing 3/4 of a liter out. After a 2-hour leg day. You know, that could be part of my thing. I'm not like throwing anything in my stomach to get sick with.
Yeah, because I easily, it's, I don't know. It's, I threw up on leg days when I was like in contest shape with really good cardio. I just think there's some people, I mean, a listener here might be able to help us out more, but everyone that I've talked to, they just say, you know, there's a certain blood chemistry that will trigger nausea because of the receptors in your brain that make you want to like get sick. And so something that you're doing, like the forced reps or something that you're doing is just triggering you to vomit. Hey, buddy. I don't know what he's barking at. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't always mean that you're out of shape. Some guy, like, definitely that's a factor. Like people who come into the gym and they train once, like I'll put them through one leg workout and they'll throw up. It's like, that's just a shock to your system. Yeah. And I don't ever mean to make anyone throw up. I try to like guide them.
You're trying to gauge them.
Trying to gauge them. But sometimes sometimes people, maybe they drank too much pre-workouts too, and that sort of shit happens. But I think there's a genetic component. There's something going on. That's why some people throw up on leg day all the time, and other people can train just as hard and not throw up. I don't know. Yeah. And there's something going on. But for nausea, I mean, he's doing all the right things. If he's trying to minimize it.
I think he gave the question enough information that you knew the things he wasn't fucking up on.
Yeah. You know, maybe he just needs better cardio. Maybe he's carrying too much weight around. Maybe he's needlessly overweight. You know, he could drop 20 pounds and maybe stops throwing up. I don't know. But yeah, that's something a lot of guys go through, leg day vomit.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the density of the food he's eating. He said 90 minutes, but I know that for me, I can clear food in 30 minutes and be ready to train and not feel like it's coming back up usually, you know, but maybe if I'm eating steak or, you know, something heavier that digests slower, maybe a lot of fiber in it that might slow it down. I'm more likely to go hypo in a workout, like even not using insulin, than I am to get sick.
Right.
So going hypo for you would happen more frequently.
Yes. Yeah. Even like I said, not using insulin. That's more of a common thing that I've had to watch out for. And that's one of the reasons like intra-workout carbs had been a really good thing for me. I could eat like 30 minutes before a really brutal like back day or leg day and still be good. And, you know, having those carbs intra would be helpful.
Right. Yeah, so that's funny because it's very rare for me to go hypo. You know what I mean? But it used to be super common for me to throw up on leg day. So to each his own.
Did get known for that over the years for sure. Hey Scott, separate topic. How is training now?
It's getting better.
Back? Nice.
Yeah.
You know what I discovered?
Your wind.
I discovered that I was missing a key element, and it's not what I would suggest people should go out and do, but
you got married?
That helps. You know what I mean? Like not living alone in this studio 24/7, but I got a new pre-workout the other day. And I tore it up. I went and trained legs at the actual gym, not just the basement gym here. It was good, man. I was like, shit, I think this was the key element that I was missing all along, was a lot of caffeine.
I just seem to be jacked up on some shit. Oh,
I thought you were going to say amazing. I thought you were going to be like, now this product, which I don't get paid to promote or anything, but they use this one ingredient, and you were going to name like this one ingredient that you thought made this huge difference.
We went to Vitamin Shop, and I hadn't been in there for a while. Most of the supplements I buy are just from like True Nutrition, and that their pricing's really good. But I looked everything over. It was getting to see like, well, what are the kids taking nowadays? And so I actually asked them, I was like, hey, what's the most popular pre-workout you guys are selling now? And I bought a tub of that. And I looked at like all the different companies. There's like so many companies out now that have, it's really, the market's changed, and pre-workout was like $50 a tub. So honestly, if I was like a 22-year-old kid trying to do bodybuilding, I don't think I could afford that shit nowadays, at that kind of price.
Right.
Yeah. Prices
are definitely up. We're going to have to send you some All In.
I got to try it.
I
want to try that.
We got to do, I mean,
I want to go all in.
Plug, but because when I was with Condemned, that was the only thing I was worried about losing was a pre-workout.
Yeah.
Because I hated the previous, what was it, Madness? I didn't
like Madness was just a little stim scoop. It was just a little concentrated stim scoop, which I never liked any of those.
Yeah, so I didn't like it. And then they sent the All In, and I actually continued to use what was left over of my Condemned for a while. And finally it was like an arm day. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to try this. So I took a whole scoop, and A, I knew it was awesome. B, I realized I needed a half a scoop.
That's right. We were talking about that.
I was
halfway in.
Out. I was like, holy shit.
I do 2/3 of a scoop.
Yeah?
I do two-thirds of a scoop of All In.
Is that one of the bigger all-in-one type pre-workouts?
Yeah, it's like a full citrulline.
Nice. Yeah,
full dose of everything. Yeah,
I like
really
that.
High doses of good quality citrulline malate and all that stuff.
I like that.
So, but it's 300 milligrams. So I only want about 200 milligrams. That's kind of my workout.
Yeah, the problem is just that I find with the higher dose, it's obviously I've drank a ton of caffeine my entire life, but my heart rate and my breathing gets fucked up on back or legs if the caffeine's too high. So it's got to be just enough to okay, we're ready.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
We'll get you that though, because you'll also like the taste. So
I gotta try that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I derailed this again. That's what I do.
It's okay. That's the whole point. The goal, Dusty, isn't to go through 20 questions. It's to go through four questions and get completely sidetracked with nonsense. Yeah, that's the thing.
I had a really good one that I wanted to say earlier, and then I remembered we weren't on the right show yet. There we go. This is a good one. Most valuable thing that you learned on your entire bodybuilding journey. I like this one. I like these deep ones. Scott is so frozen, I thought his fucking computer froze. That was wild. You're not getting out of this, Scott.
I don't know. How cliche is this answer going to be?
Go.
How cliche is what I'm about to say? I don't know. There's got to be something in there about living your life on your own terms. That was something that I had to sort of embrace to be a bodybuilder. I remember being kind of aware that it was always weird and it wasn't normal. And everybody was like, that's not normal. What are you doing? I always knew it was abnormal. So I had to get used to that. But I think that kind of embracing that and accepting that I was doing something that wasn't normal, I think it generally made me more open to other people that were also sort of cultural rejects as well. You know what I mean? I always thought I was a really tolerant and oh yeah, that's really fucked up, but do your thing, buddy. I was always kind of one of those people. And it was because I sort of thought that what I was doing was equally weird and not normal, and people probably saw it like through all these different stereotypes and all that sort of stuff. So that probably shaped me quite a bit as a person. That's an interesting thing to maybe wonder how bodybuilding affected me that way. But I'd say like just the goal setting is probably the most valuable thing. Like, okay, like I have to do this on this day.
Right.
And you think about it, like for a 21-year-old kid to set a goal like that, like it's pretty aggressive. Like my first show, like, okay, I'm going to do all this work, and then I'm going to like drive to this other city, and I'm going to throw myself into this competition with
right.
who knows who's going to show up. Like it was a real like uncertain like thing, but you just do it, and you have to just do your work and accept the consequences. You have no idea what lies ahead. You don't know who's showing up, all that sort of stuff. So like, I think that's good for you. A lot of people hesitate so much because they're afraid of what's the outcome going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
But with bodybuilding, man, you can't hesitate at all. You just have to bust your ass and go.
Agreed. What about you, Scott?
Well, I knew I had a pretty good feeling I wasn't going to be a pro bodybuilder early on, which was probably a good thing to have realized, But at the same time, I still felt like, I had really been into photography for a really long time and gone to school for that, worked in that industry, and got burnt out of it. And when I discovered bodybuilding, I realized, like, you know what, I only have so much time in this world to really go all in on so many different things in life. And, and I felt like it was worth exploring. So I thought, it might limit me from learning other things, but it'll allow me to explore this one thing at a really intricate level. And I think that being able to find something you can do that with teaches you a lot, Yeah,
and for sure.
It's evolved, because I think like early on, I really enjoyed the quote unquote suffering, in dieting and stuff. I really enjoyed like, how much can I handle kind of feeling. It's evolved because now it's just like pure joy. The last prep I had was just like pure joy that I'm able to do this and could afford to do this and have the know-how and the health and all that. So I guess, the biggest thing is probably like the like you were saying, Ron, it built confidence. Being able to do all those things you were talking about, to me, was able to give me confidence. And then getting in recovery and discovering all these things, I realized like I could apply that to any area of my life, which then I did. And it's definitely been to my benefit,
Agreed. It's awesome. I would say the blanket answer for me is almost a piggyback off of what Ron said, which is it was the first thing that I knowingly in life, and I wouldn't say it's the first thing I ever did, it was the first thing I knowingly did, where I had a goal, had a date, and worked backwards and came up with a plan on how to achieve that goal. And had to work every single day towards that goal obsessively. And as you get older, you realize that that's literally everything you do. If you want to own a new house and you have no money in the bank and you need 10% down, how long is it going to take? How much is the house going to cost? You work backwards and you start saving or doing what it is you need to do. And I find that practice is what a lot of people don't do. A lot of people have dreams, not goals. And if you have a goal, you do that. You say, okay, well, when? Okay, how long is it going to take? Okay, now that I know when that's going to be, that the goal is, what do I have to do to make that happen? And if you implement that, just like you do a show, it happens. I mean, so far, I haven't had a goal that I chased with that kind of focus that I didn't get. And bodybuilding taught me that. It was really, it's really that simple.
That's cool.
And then the only other addition I was going to say, which Ron used the terms a lot, but I found that everyone does, which is reps. Like, that is something that is alive. And also, every person I've ever known who's successful in something, I've even heard people in other, not even sports, in other professions use the word reps. And I'm like, holy shit, it's the thing. Like, they're doing them too. And I think that when you have that in the most basic form, it makes it so clear that everything that we learn from bodybuilding is beneficial or can be. And I told this to a kid just recently. I said, you have two options with bodybuilding. It will either enhance every area of your life or ruin it. Your decision.
Right.
And I think it really can. And sadly, I feel like more people let it ruin it, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. That was good. I got a good one here.
Shoot.
This, at first I was going to skip it. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. This could be interesting. What are some tips for the average girl wanting to get in the gym to look better? Likes the physiques, likes how the figure girls look, but just wants to get into the gym. Tips for training the average girl at the gym that wants to look better.
First thing would be, I don't. This isn't just women. This is everyone. I think that the most people, when they go into a gym, they have no idea what their body's capable of, and they don't train hard enough to get a result.
Yeah.
There has to be a hard enough stimulus for your body to have a response to need to change. And I think that that's an area that most people are lacking. I see a lot of people in the gym, and unlike most, I don't laugh at them. I feel bad because I'm like, they don't know that what they're doing isn't enough. And they're here every day.
I could see that.
So I feel like that's the first step, is helping people understand the amount of effort that they should put in to make that happen. Because if they have that mindset, like you just said, they want to, they're halfway there. They just need to know.
Right.
So that'd be my first thing, would be understanding what the effort needs to look like.
One thing that I think is a good tip is, I can't even remember who told me this, but when you first get someone in the gym lifting weights, it's not like you can push them to maximum intensity right away, because they don't have the form down. They're learning how to squat. They're learning how to move dumbbells. They're dumbbell pressing with like 15s. They're just getting things moving. But he said it's important to find something, anything that they can do with maximal intensity, if possible, and make sure you integrate it in. So let's say you get someone who's new to weight training, but they can sprint on the bike. Right. Then make sure you put some bike sprints in the program, because part of what you're doing is teaching them to train hard.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Like, it doesn't matter. Don't overthink what they're able to go hard on. Just make sure there's something in there that goes hard and kicks their ass, because you want them to kick their own ass in the gym, and it'll leak into the other stuff.
Yeah. Yes, they can. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe someone's like new to squatting, so they're squatting at 25 pounds per side, and they're just making sure their form's good, and you don't want to push them to failure and they collapse under the bar and fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they can get on a bike and they can really fucking crank out some reps, because maybe they used to play some sports, right? Mm-hmm. So just make sure there's something you can really go hard on and try to integrate it in there. And I think that that's important, and would be for women too. But I think the main things you want to do with not just women, but newbies in general is you want to get them moving their bodies through full ranges of motion. You got to get them squatting. You got to get them comfortable with barbells. And it's not that free weights are magic, but for beginners, they certainly are foundational. You got to get them squatting. You got to get them doing some deadlifting, understanding how their body works, moving through those big movement patterns. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you don't take a new girl and put her on single arm bicep curls and single leg, hamstring curls and think she's going to get the body she's looking for. You got to get her moving, as much stress to the body as you can put into an efficient program. That's my thing.
I like that.
What's next, Dusty? Dusty looks like he's got another one.
No, I'm scanning for more here, but
hey, here's an important question. You got real big legs, boxers or briefs?
Oh, wow. That's easy. Neither. Boxer briefs. Because I need them to come down my leg, but I need them tight so that they don't ride up and my legs rub together. Briefs is impossible because my legs rub together. But I actually just wear the compression shorts that Under Armour wear because those are underwear now. Very expensive underwear, by the way, but I don't like my legs to rub. It sucks. And you?
Well, definitely not like baggy boxers, like cotton, like boxer shorts. I've never owned a pair of boxer shorts in my life. I like the I guess you call them boxer briefs, like the Better Bodies ones that go down your legs a little bit. They're, yeah, those ones are awesome. I do have some briefs. They're fine. I got some Saks, whatever brand that is.
You fancy shit.
So those fancy Saks briefs and boxer briefs, but yeah, no baggy boxers like you. Like that,
you can always tell when the radio turner downer is buying his underwear and he gets them from Saks. Because he didn't buy that shit himself. No fucking way.
The radio turner downer.
The radio turner downer's buying my underwear. That's why she gets away with turning the radio down once in a while.
Yeah, he's irritated, but he's like, man, these are nice.
I'm mad at you for doing that, but you buy my underwear. What do you think, Scott?
Boxer briefs, no question. I'm grateful that I don't have to walk as much as I did for work in the past because my legs would chafe in the summertime like a motherfucker, and it was the worst.
I can't imagine your whole. You must have been sweating before you even got to work.
Oh yeah,
when you had that humidity. Did you change shirts during your shift?
Like it was when you were doing the delivery? No, God, no. You didn't have that kind of time, that kind of luxury. It was just like training the whole day. You just felt like you were in the. It was like the perspiration of training, but like all day.
Did you ever wear long sleeves in the summer? I'm being serious.
No. We were allowed to start wearing. We were allowed to wear shorts, and so I would start, and I would like shorts because they were cooler. So I would start wearing shorts like as early in the season as I could,
right,
and as late into the fall. It's like almost Christmas time, and I'm still rocking the shorts, because it was easier.
Yeah, I used to wear, when I tinted windows, I wore shorts, but I actually wore long sleeve T-shirts because they'd get wet. So it was cooler to have a wet shirt on me. Now, we're not talking button-ups. It's a T-shirt, but long sleeve, like a 50-50. Yeah. And it actually felt cooler because I wasn't in the sun, like direct in the sun. And I was like, oh, this is actually cooler than the other options. So
I just put like a big 2X, 3X shirt on. And sometimes I even had like polo shirts that were thinner. And you get like a 3X one of those and just like you just swim in it, and it felt more comfortable that way. And then my goal would be like just keep getting bigger until you fill this thing out.
So you rip the sleeve.
And I would walk around work just like eating my food and stuff because there's no managers. Like when you go to a grocery store, your manager's not there. The grocery store managers are there, and they're like, hey, this is what you got to do today. Just let me know, sign this thing before you go. I'm like, all right. And then I go and like buy some food, and I'm like walking around just eating, go in the bathroom, take some insulin, Listen to Ron. I would listen to Ron's podcast while I was doing that,
Oh, that's so funny.
It's good. And then go take a break, eat my next meal.
Right.
Let's see. Text clients on Saturday to like tell them like, drink 6 ounces of water, and eat a rice cake before you get on stage.
You were in the prep. Oh,
yeah.
That would suck. All right.
That's funny.
All right. I'm getting all the life questions this time.
Serious.
So those are good.
All right. Here's another one. How do you deal with major adversity in life?
Just fucking go like this and just fucking get in there. I mean, it has to be dealt with, so you just take it head on.
Agreed.
I don't know. Try to keep your life. I guess another thing is I try to keep my life as normal as possible through adversity. I think some people, and obviously life throws you curveballs. I understand that your life comes apart sometimes. I mean, it happens to everybody. But you really do have to try to keep it together, almost to the level of like living in a little bit of denial. I think that's actually a good thing. Like, like you're just like, no, fucking keep this together. Training at 4:30. I'm going to be on time. My training partner doesn't even need to know this happened. I'm not going to show up and, spit into his ear, although that's what training partners are sometimes for. That's a very important role that a training partner can help you with. But you just, you try your best to like just keep together, keep life ticking away. I got my business meeting. I'm not gonna let on.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that. Bill Burr talks about pushing emotions down until they just come out all over your family at Christmas. I think that you do that with your adversity too. You just fucking kind of just choke it down and just try to keep your life together. I don't know. Focusing on the routine, which I guess goes back to what bodybuilding has taught us, focusing on keeping the machine moving, keeping all the moving parts moving, and keeping the process happening has been how I've gotten through everything difficult in my life. I guess that's probably the better answer than the one I actually gave for the question, because that just kind of came to me with this question.
I found a couple things basic. First being, I think a lot of people spend a lot of time focused on the problem.
That's a thing.
And I don't, like, for me, the problem is the problem. So fuck the problem. What's the solution? What are you going to do? I really do think there's a lot of mental masturbation, spending a lot of time romanticizing how they wish life could be, but it's not because it's this. And they spend weeks and months thinking about how they wish it was, and it's not. Same thing with relationships or whatever. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's not. Shut up. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, that to me, it's not meant to be like, it sounds like, oh, I'm hardcore. It's not at all what it is. It's just, it's a fact. Like, that is what it is. Let go. And the other thing I was going to also say is, I've definitely learned that all the hardships that I've had weren't always hardships. Like, they felt like it in the moment, and then you get to the other side and you get to the thing that you had to go through to be there, and you're like, oh, that's why I had to go through that. So I was ready for this. Like, I've really found that nothing is really what I think it is in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes there's great things that are happening to me. I'm like, that was fucking amazing. And then then the bottom falls out from it. You're like, oh fuck, that wasn't good at all. But you had to go through that as well. So to me, the answer is nothing is really a bad thing. It's just, okay, what do we do next? How do you handle the next step? Like, I actually just saw a thing the other day, and it's like, if I walked out to my car, my truck in the gym parking lot today, it was on fire, I'd be like, all right, I got to get home. And then, we would go to dinner and we would enjoy dinner. And I guess tomorrow I'd buy a new car.
Yeah. Like, call the insurance company and
yeah. I mean, there's nothing that's done. There's nothing to worry about with that. And I think obviously that's very simple because it's an object, but people do try to do that with relationships and things. I mean, if my business partner stabs me in the back today, fuck, that's done. Okay, what am I going to do? And I really think if you get right to the, okay, what am I going to do? You'll be a lot better off. I used to tell employees all the time when they'd come with me with problems, they'd start talking. I go, what's the solution? They'd go, I don't know. I go, well, then come back when you have one.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about your problem. What's the solution? When you come back with that, now we can talk, and maybe I'll help you with an even better solution, but don't just dump it on me. Fuck off.
Right.
I've seen that. I've seen in people in nutrition clients, because it can be difficult to get your logistics down for getting all your meals in during the day. And I've met some people that will focus on the things that they can't do versus focus on the things that they can do. And I think if you do try to, and it affects you, if you're just like, oh man, I can't do this, I can't eat at this time. It's like all of a sudden you're looking at like all these limitations in your life versus that opposite. And I think I can do that sometimes too. Like, I can catch myself and be like, wait a second, just because I can't do this doesn't mean I can do all this, and this. So, yeah. I
always find it interesting when you have the opposite. I had a guy the other day, he's been a client of mine for probably a year and a half. We've done a couple shows, all this shit. He goes, oh, hey, so I'm thinking about competing again in November. And I'm retiring in August, which would be nice because I'll no longer have that 4.5 hour commute a day. I'm like, wow. This is the first I've heard of this 4.5 hour commute that you have every day. Yeah. And it made me laugh. Like, I didn't even talk to him about it. I was just like, we've done shows. And I've filled you with cardio, eating, posing, posing with Kenny, doing all this shit. And he has never mentioned it because it's not my fucking problem. And he has to find a way. But I just thought it was so impressive because I'm like, God damn, that's a chunk of your day.
Yeah.
Then you got an hour and a half of training, an hour of cardio. And I'm like, I told him, like, I'm impressed. I didn't even know you had that. I mean, I'm assuming, like, you know, so it's shocking because, like you said, Scott, I'll have people that tell me the opposite. I got called in early today. I guess I can't do cardio. And I'm like, huh?
Do it later.
Do it after work.
Yeah.
Oh, the gym's closed. Walk down the goddamn street. I don't know.
Yeah.
Live in a bad neighborhood. Carry a gun.
Exactly. You should have two.
I don't know what to tell you.
Funny. What? Your turn. Your turn.
Yes. Well, here's kind of an interesting one. We could talk about this. What do you think about TRT forever? No cycles ever, never coming off.
I love it.
Isn't that what TRT is?
Well, I mean, realistically, that is what TRT is. I mean, the only thing
that's the thing.
Point.
That's why I thought we should discuss it. It's like people throw around this term TRT and they don't understand that that's what TRT is supposed to be for. It's test replacement therapy.
The only thing that will change is over time, your blood work will determine if you need less or more. And it's not always more. Right. And that's why you don't guess. I think what's interesting, it's funny you said that, Ron, because I had that question last week. I didn't even bother to answer. As a guy said, what do you think about Anadrol and TRT? I'm like, it's not TRT
so
anymore.
Cycloanadrol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, and I think it's really funny. Or you'll get the guy that's like, I'm just doing 400 milligrams of TRT. I'm like, that is not what it means.
Yeah.
You're
the only time
test only a high fucking dose.
So I did see one guy showed me blood work. He was taking 250 mgs a week, which is pretty high TRT.
Yeah.
Like probably not in normal range. But his test levels, so his total test was slightly above range.
Right.
But his bioavailable and free test were below the middle of their range.
Right.
Because he had really high SHGB.
Right.
That sex hormone binding globulin. His was like right at the top of the range. So it was binding up a lot of his test. So it's like interesting when you see someone on 250 a week and their free test is actually very middle ground.
Yeah. But that's
and
where
you see other guys on. Yeah, that's where your blood work comes in, right? That's why you have to know. Yeah. Whereas you get someone else on 100 a week and their free test is like above normal range, like way up there.
Yeah.
So
but that's also when you bring in your supplements. Because that's the thing is, if you don't know that, right, and you're still not feeling good because you didn't get your blood work, then you're like, oh, I must need 350. It's like, no, you need boron.
Right. You need something to free up your SHGB or lower it. I mean, lower your SHGB or something like that.
Yeah, something that will affect free test alone. It doesn't mean you need more tests that won't bind any less just because you take more. So, yeah.
I get asked a lot, like, how often did I go off? Because I'm kind of an old school guy. We used to go on and off.
Yeah.
And I went off all the way up until I was 39 years old.
Right.
That was the first time I ever bridged a cycle with a cruise, like a what we would call cruise dose.
Yeah.
And I remember I did 200 milligrams a week for 16 weeks. So it was 4 months. And that was the first time I ever cruised, but I was 39 already. So there was a lot of coming off before that.
Right. I think people are more afraid of coming off than they need to be. And again, technically, if you get into the science of it, if you're not going to be off for like a year, you are better off to bridge, as they say.
Technically healthier. Like it's all
the same hard on your body. Yeah.
All the same bad shit that happens too much gear, can happen when your test is too low. Like your cholesterol can go to shit, your estrogen levels can get messed up, your fucking, like a whole bunch of stuff can go out of whack by being low test for a long period of time too.
But I did find when I got sick last year, obviously they weren't injecting me with shots through the month in the hospital. And I didn't get back on anything for the month afterwards. And so when I got my first blood work, I was actually shocked because obviously I've been running shit for 15 years. My levels were great and I didn't feel terrible. I was really surprised. I was like, I think my test was at like 650 at that point. It was 8 weeks off. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's just lingering sustanon, Dusty. As
well, maybe Matt was giving me shots while I was in.
He's like, I didn't take any shots while I was under. I took 3 grams of sustanon the day I went in. But
because I knew I might be there for a while.
I don't know how my test levels weren't back to normal yet.
Yeah, it was surprising though because I actually was like, wow, I don't feel like death.
That's funny.
Other than being weak as hell, but whatever.
You front loaded.
Yeah,
going back to last week's show.
Front loaded for the surgery. I knew it was coming.
Front loaded for the coma. Front loaded for the coma.
You got to be ready at all times.
You never know.
Yes. Okay. What do you think, Scott? You got anything there?
I don't have anything. At this point, I'm along for the ride, basically.
You're here to answer the questions with better answers than Ron and I come up with. Do the kids what the 1 week and rest? No.
Is there are there any hobbies that you wish you would have taken up and you just never?
Yes, a million.
Yeah,
I think I needed more time
to stay on this.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the only, okay. That's my. I won't say it's a regret, but I have been obsessive about things my whole life. So like when I played hockey, it was all I did.
Yeah,
right.
I played as much as I could play, anytime, any place. I can get ice time. I'm in. Street hockey done. And when I was bodybuilding, it was the same.
Yes.
I was very obsessive with that. So now, like even something as simple as a hobby I'm taking up is traveling, like actually going to see things, do things. Ron was really good about that. But like when I was in prep, I really didn't go do a bunch of other things. Some of it was financially limited, but like I've probably done more in the last year than I've done in the 6-7 years before that, as far as going to concerts, doing things. But I always thought like learning a guitar or something would be awesome because it seems like it would be very hard for me. Like when I see a very basic, like someone learning guitar, I'm like, ooh, my fingers wouldn't want to do that. Yeah. So I think that would be fun. Very, very challenging, something like that.
I've been playing a lot of guitar lately because I bought a couple, and I also got this really cool little micro amp. It's called, because I live in a condo, right? So like, and sometimes I'm playing at night. Like Emily actually goes to bed, and then I go sit in the office and jam. So it's like it has to be headphones, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got this little micro amp, and what you do is you plug your headphones into it, and then you plug it into your guitar. So, you hit your guitar and it comes out your headphones. But then you Bluetooth your phone to the micro amp and you play an album.
Really?
And the album comes in your headphones and you play along with the album. So it's exactly what every person has ever done. Every kid who had a rock and roll dream sat by his record player back in the day and jammed to Led Zeppelin records, right? Had to figure out that the records aren't perfectly in tune every time. So you got to... Why doesn't this sound quite right? Because when they recorded it, they were a half step down. So you got to tune your guitar a half step down. Okay, now it sounds right with the, like you got to figure all the kids that went through all that, like all the musicians that I love, they all did that. They all sat in front of their record players and tried to play along. And you try to turn the amp to just the right volume and the record player to the right volume. So it sounds like you're playing with the band,
Yeah.
And I used to do that when I would jam, try to learn a bunch of songs. I'd try to get my skill up. I'd put 5 songs on a playlist and I'd try to play along with all 5 of them perfectly, Yeah. But now I can do it all with this little, I don't even need an amp. You don't even need your actual amp. You just, fuck it. Just put this little toy in your guitar and plug your headphones into it.
That's crazy.
How much is that?
And it's like $150.
Oh, wow. It's cheap. That's cool.
So yeah. And then you can also run a USB cord from the little micro amp into your computer, and you can record it all in GarageBand.
Oh, nice.
Fuck with it after.
That's badass. Right?
So it's just really cool. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. But I always thought like I sometimes wish I would have played enough guitar that I would have been good enough to like, like there was this blues bar that was down the street from me for a long time when I lived in Edmonton, and they would have like jam night. Every Sunday would be like jam night, and just anyone could go down there with their guitar, and all the blues guys were just jamming together, and you'd get up and plug in and play for a while, and then you'd unplug and go sit down and have a beer, and someone else would go up with the drummers, and everyone would just be jamming together and having fun. But those guys are like good,
Yeah.
And
you were rolling in there not knowing what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah, like, I roll in there with my 10 Nirvana songs and my 10 AC/DC riffs, and everyone in there is like a blues player, can just fucking rip, like they're not going to want me around, right? So I always wished I was good enough to go down on those nights and just like be one of those dudes. It's just like the people that go to comedy clubs and they put their name on the list and they hop up and do a set.
Yeah.
Like I admire those people.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
something else. So I'd say maybe stand-up comedy was something I always wish I would have done when I was young and dumb enough to just let myself get butchered,
Yeah, that's a hard one. I don't think people realize the difference between being funny in person and being a comedian.
Yeah.
That is, I think Ron could do it though. He's got the storytelling down. He can lead you down a path.
We get comments all the time about how people like your storytelling, Ron.
Oh, Ron gives the best stories.
I remember one time I was with these guys in Australia. There was my buddy Chris who used to grow all this weed. He was like a surfer. And he goes, "Hey, we're going to a comedy club. You should come with us." And I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll go." So I went, and there was like one other bodybuilder that came with me, and then him, and then some of his friends. And his friends were like crazy surfer party Australian guys.
Yeah.
Right.
And we went to this, we went out and we had I had a beer with them. And I remember I ate some chicken fingers, as you do. And then we went to this comedy club. And I remember thinking, like, we got to the comedy club, and I remember thinking, holy shit, this place is a dump. Like, this is a dump. It's not big. It's just a fucking dingy little hole.
Yeah.
Right.
And people were getting up, and like, it was kind of funny. A couple guys were funny, but we were smoking weed, and we were, just being goofy. And I was just kind of sitting in the chair talking to the guys. And then another comic would come on, and we watch him, and it was pretty funny. And then all of a sudden, the one dude that was with us just like walks on the stage.
No kidding.
And starts talking on the mic. I guess he put his name on the list. Huh. I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
And I look at Chris and I'm like, what's he doing? He goes up once in a while. Like it was nothing.
No kidding.
And he just got up there and told this funny story about, I think he told a story about shitting his pants or something. And everyone was laughing and stuff. And then he just comes down, grabs his beer, and he's like, "Hey, you guys ready to go?" Like, and I remember sort of thinking like, that was fucking cool. You just got up there and like ran the room for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't bomb. You actually did all right.
Yeah.
If anything, we were heckling him.
And you count on your friends to screw you over.
Yeah. And I just remember thinking like, oh shit, like I don't have the balls for that. I don't have the balls to get up there in my underwear, maybe if I'm in shape, but
yeah, that's fine. Totally fine.
Yeah, that had an impression on me, so I always admired that. That would have been a cool thing to get into.
For sure.
Are you too old to do this at this point now, Dusty?
No, absolutely. Now your judgment's completely lost. You don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you don't care what other people think.
You have all the best stories.
Oh, God.
All the best stories now. Hey?
That's key. That's classic. Where we at,
that would be good. I'd like to see Dusty do 5 minutes.
I would too. I'd like to see either of you guys do 5 minutes. That'd be good.
If Ron did 5 minutes, they'd want 10 because they'd realize, like, God, this guy's got a knack for this. I might push Ron into this eventually, actually.
Yeah, after watching, I watched a few videos from that Awakened with JP guy the other day. I watched that yesterday. I have to say that to do what he does, it has to take a certain level of intelligence. Like he's a smart dude.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Smart because you're manipulating the humor and the satire curve just right to stay on brand the whole time. He's really good at it.
Yeah, he is. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I feel like
he has to be really self-aware. They actually have to be really self-aware because they have to
I feel like Rogan really brought to our attention, like as a society, like the art of comedy, because he's been
For sure.
talking for years about, like I remember I used to listen to him a lot, and I remember him talking about like what happens when you bomb, what happens when you just eat shit on stage, and what that whole experience is like.
What did he say about it?
He just said, it's like, I mean, you just have to, there's nothing you can do, and you're up there, and it's like your worst nightmare kind of thing, and it starts happening, and there's nothing you can do, and all you can do is just sit there and take it and go through the process.
Ride it out.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine any of those guys ever bombing now that they kind of have their craft nailed.
Yeah.
It seems impossible.
Eating shit in front of a room full of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Supposed to be the most humbling thing in the world, but like how Rogan says, you have to go through it. Like it's like a rite of passage,
Yeah.
You're going to, like, it's a guaranteed thing that's going to happen, And did you guys ever watch that Bill Burr Philly rant? Did you ever see the Philly rant?
Mm-mm.
So Rogan calls it one of the greatest performances of all time. And there was like a comedy night in Philadelphia, and Bill Burr is a Boston comic, right?
Right.
And there was some massive rivalry going on at the time, Philly and Boston, as there's probably been a bunch in different sports. I don't know. But anyways, Bill Burr went up to do 20 minutes, and the crowd was just brutal, like fucking hated him. And so he just kept taunting them. He's like, "Oh yeah, you guys are gonna heckle me, eh? Bunch of fucking one of the only fucking hockey cities that wore pants, the fucking 70s. You guys gonna fuck?" And he just starts laying into Philly. "Oh yeah, you motherfuckers think, yeah. Well, guess what? I got 17 minutes left, and I'm doing every last fucking one of them." Like he wasn't gonna leave. He's like, "Oh, you guys want me out of here, do you? Fuck you. 14 minutes. Let's go. I can do this all day. You." And he just starts fucking. The crowd's turning on him, and he's just going for it. And then the magic kicks in. And like minute 17, they start cheering him.
No kidding.
He starts turning them. And he just stays out there. He's like, 2 minutes left. I'm not fucking leaving. And he's just fucking giving it to him. And they start cheering. And he roasted them hard enough that they started loving him.
That's cool.
And then at the end of the 20 minutes, he fucking walks off stage. And I guess when you watch the video, it's like funny but kind of weird. You're like, this is a weird set, right? But I guess the real story was backstage. All the other comics were like, Bill Burr is a savage.
Yeah.
He's a savage. He's the ballsiest fucking guy. Like, he didn't give a fuck. They were sitting backstage just like, oh, what's happening out there?
That's so cool.
But it's on YouTube, so I don't know. I haven't seen it for a long time, but I did watch it a few times. So
I gotta watch that now.
Check that out. Fuck you,
That's
17 minutes.
That's a long time.
I'm not leaving. I got 20 minutes. I'm not leaving.
Oh, that's
okay.
amazing.
Well, is that it? Are we good?
I think we're good.
Episode 146. It's just bodybuilding. Like, share, subscribe, comment.
And ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Thanks for all the questions. You guys are awesome. Hit the YouTube questions, which we will typically do on the first episode. Where we would also have our guest, if we're going to have a guest that week. And then it looks like we're going to be doing the IG questions on like the second episode. That's a pretty good format that works for us, eh?
Cool.
No doubt.
Cool.
Is it next week we have a guest, Dusty?
No, 2 weeks.
Okay. Do we want to tell people who we have coming up in a couple weeks here? Great guest.
Yeah, I think we should. And it's Scott's idea. So Scott?
Well, Dusty set it up. We've got Drea Shaw, who is the Miss Olympia.
Current Miss Olympia. Andrea Shaw and Mutant teammate.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Win-win.
Mutant's very proud to have Miss Olympia signed to Mutant right now.
That's pretty cool.
Andrea Shaw. Drea's the coolest girl.
She is.
She was working the Arnold with us. She was fun to have around. I look forward to doing another expo with her for sure.
She's cool. And she's from Detroit, so she's got some Detroit stories.
She's Detroit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Is there a certain who says Detroit? Detroit. Is that an accent that certain people say?
That's you know what? Victoria's dad says Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, Victoria's dad. He's from Vancouver, so
Huh. Okay. Maybe it's. I'm just wondering because I
I've
hear
never
some
heard that
people
much
say
in
it
my
that
life.
weird.
Yeah, I think
The
it's
odd
a. I
person
think it
says
might
it.
be like a Canadian West Coast thing. It might be
Uh-huh.
because I've never heard anybody else say it, and Victoria kind of makes fun of him for it.
It's like how people from Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
they say Tirana.
Tirana,
Tirana.
Tirana.
Spell it wrong too, huh?
Tirana do you wanna?
How are you now?
Yeah.
How are you now?
Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.